Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble, and they want to negotiate. And I said, why didn't you negotiate with me before? All this death and destruction. Why didn't you negotiate? I said to the people, why didn't you negotiate with me 2 weeks ago? You could have done fine.
Did you see that? Did you?
Comrades, welcome to another Brews at 10. Here on my left eye, I'm your host Lefty. Very warm welcome to everybody on the stream. Another Wednesday. This time around it's a deputy PMQs. Angela Rayner will be stepping in for Keith. Checking behind the curtains for mushroom clouds on day 6. And things are getting hot. Politically and in terms of the weather. I'm gasping, people. I'm gasping for a brew this evening. I don't know about you. Let's see who's in the chats. Chris was first in. How do you brew? Politics Clive. Excuse me. Warm welcome to you as well. Emma Richardson, Jacqueline. Hope we're all brewing well this evening. Yeah, things are getting pretty tentative, aren't they? Gotta say. More on Iran-Israel stuff after PMQs. And another round of Keith's catchphrases that's going to come along with it. So yeah, stick around. Please make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream as well. Had a new video out today. Please do check that out. Throw that around your blue sky, whatever. Yeah, it's about the massive elephant in the room that not all of the mainstream media, certainly not all of the politicians, are willing to accept with regards to Iran's nuclear capabilities. So they've been on about that for some time, which I talk about in the video. So yeah, check it out, give it a like, make sure you hit subscribe if you're not subscribed to the channel. You can then access the chat, and we've just got Graham Turner popping into the chat. Nice to see you. How do you brew? We'll have the latest from Gaza coming up as well. And Mo Chara from Kneecap was on trial today. Well, there was a fantastic turnout of support for him at court as well. Yeah, a few bits to get into. Milk and 2 sugars for Graham. Give a big thanks to the members as well. And you can join this list of people. It's just 99 pence. Wonderful, marvellous members you can see on your screen. And lots of perks for you to enjoy. Check them out. Yeah, appreciate everybody renewing memberships recently and gifting to others. Thanks very much for that. Have slightly dipped below the 100 goal this week, but yeah, we'll soon be back up there. Thank you very much, everybody. Great to see the community getting stronger and stronger. So please do consider supporting the channel that way. It's the preferred way because it helps to sustain the channel, bring you more content, as well as growing said community, which is made up of some marvellous people. Thank you very much. So we're on 86 at the moment. I'm going to bring the chat up on the screen. Let the people be seen. Yeah, it's been a fairly exhaustive day, what with the heat and everything, wouldn't you say, people? I certainly would. And we'll get over to the House of Commons very shortly. Got a comedy clip lined up and then I'll play in just a moment. Just a few moments. We'll just let the chat warm up before we begin. Make sure you've got that set to live chat as well, people, instead of top chat if you do like to follow the commentary. Just a reminder, because I don't have any mods at the moment, please do keep it cordial. If you are going to disagree on anything, please don't throw insults around or anything like that. My left eye will be watching. So, yeah, make sure you follow all the guidelines and everything, people. Let's keep it cordial up in here. I did have 3 live streams under review at one moment, at one particular time. That's now down to 2. The other one was fortunately granted or let off, whatever. I didn't do anything. Don't know why it keeps happening. Anyway. Just checking I've got all the clips and everything lined up. Anyone who's joining us, just a reminder, make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream. Just about to get started. And that's a nice way to start the stream. Speaking of starts, Nicola Curtin, thanks a lot for that. Solidari-Tea, welcome aboard the good ship Brew. So I can change the goal there. It's 87. All the members, of course, get shout-outs on live streams and videos as well, so I'll be updating the list. Thank you very much again for that, Nicola. Graham, massive news at work today. Football fixtures are out. You know, what can you do? Is that all everybody wanted to talk about? Another thing I noticed earlier, just in passing a newsstand. I'm sure this is going to come up in PMQs quite a bit as well, despite the fact that America could be getting embroiled in this war between Iran and Israel, pushing us towards World War III. The mainstream press just want to continue with this what was initially a right-wing issue, the grooming gangs issue, which is of course a heinous crime, but obviously the far right started to harp on about it, but specifically only using extraordinarily rare examples of migrants or people of foreign descent. So there's a lot of people turning a blind eye, but my left eye certainly doesn't. Yeah, fair enough. If you're a football fan, obviously nothing wrong with that. It's just poring over the fixtures as they come out as though it's some sort of oracle, or, you know, defines the way that the season's going to go. As with any other team sport or league, then it really doesn't matter. They all play each other twice, through the season in the league. Right, let's get underway, people. It's this opening clip from Matt Green. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. This is the latest one that came out just yesterday, I think. So check him out if you don't already. Fabulous Matt Green.
So, Minister, you're making a big announcement today. That's right, we're investing in infrastructure across the country, which involves repairing and building a number of bridges. And what number is that? What's that? What is that number of bridges? A large number. A large number. Yes, a large number of bridges. What is a large number of bridges? What? Because if you're looking at it from the point of view of standing by a river, then 3 or 4 bridges would be a large number. But if you're looking at it from the point of view of a whole country, then we're talking thousands. The second one. Thousands. Yes. 3,000? That sounds familiar. It should be, it's in your press release. Yeah, I should have printed a copy. Okay, so where are these bridges? What? Which bridges are you repairing? The broken ones. Right, and where are you building the new bridges? Well, there's one going across the Thames, I think. From where to where? Well, forgive me, I'm not a bridge expert. No, but you are paying for them, so where do they go? Look, I'm a Treasury Minister. That's more of a Transport Minister question. Okay. They tell us how many bridges we need, and we ask them how much they'll cost. And how much will they cost? Well, I walked right into that one, didn't I? It's a simple question. How much will they cost? Several billion. Several. What does several mean? Well, more than one. So 2? No, several. 10? Sure. Are you? No. Thank you, Minister. Oh, it's not a bridge, it's a tunnel. Thank you, Minister. Next up, as Meta announces it's introducing personalised advertising into WhatsApp, we ask, how soon after learning of the death of a family member would you want to receive adverts for funeral homes, flowers, or house clearing companies?
Great as always, Matt Green. I'll just zoom in on those tour dates and venues so you can maybe check him out live if you're around any one of these areas. I won't read out the list, I'll just leave that up there for a moment or two. I think he's at the Frog and Buckets. This is later on in the year, October, November. But do get your tickets now, people, get them while they're hot. Heat, that's the theme of the day, heat. He's also on YouTube, of course. I should have mentioned that one, of course, without saying, but I'll mention it nonetheless. Alright, people, do any of you just joined us in the chat? How do you brew? So without any further delay, let's get started with PMQs. And of course, another episode of Keith's Catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole. Plan for change. 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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, it's that time again. A few examples there. But it's actually none of the phrases on the thumbnail. Now current contenders. So for anyone who's not familiar, I'm sure most of you are, but we pit 2 phrases against one another and keep account of how many times they're mentioned in the session. But there are some rules, there are some caveats, if you will. So first of all, it's got to be Starmer that says the phrases or words. They get knocked out after 2 losses in a row. It was a startling 0-0 draw last week, very rare 0-0 draw, but I don't think we'll have the same again this week. Third rule, slight variations on the words are allowed, so when deliver was a contender, it delivering, delivers, that kind of thing. Change, changes, you know, pluralization and chronological tense, etc. Okay, so that's more or less it. And the current contenders. One of which I think, given the events of the last few days, has a slight advantage. Just a reminder, this is the first time I've seen PMQs. It's original and genuine reaction, as always, every time it's on. So we've, no, not that one. We've got security, which I think has a good chance. Obviously, it's going to be Angela Rayner in the session, not Keith. But alas, I don't have time to adjust every single bit for Keith's catchphrases when it's deputy PMQs. So you'll see this and hear this when the word security is mentioned, and it's up against Deal, who actually knocked out a former long-running champion recently. I should say at this point, long term. It's you know, I'm opening up here, people. Long-term viewers will know that I suffer from a new condition, a newly identified condition known as deliverism. As such, with Deliver being champion for so long, my Pavlovian response almost is to reach for the ding button every time it still gets mentioned in the House of Commons. I'm working on it, and I don't see Postman twat in my sleep, honest, or even when I'm trying to get to sleep and just lie there with my eyes open and it's all I can see, but he's not real, he can't hurt me. I'm just going to take some more of this. Hill's got the guy in the cafeteria, I don't know what they are. He said they'd help. No, I'm only joking. It's not a real thing. Okay. So we keep the score on the left of your screen. 0-0. There is something else. I feel like I've not said something before I get started. Yes, of course, no spoilers for anybody who has already seen it or excerpts from it. So, I haven't seen anything at all. So yeah, before we go in, I think, like I said, the odds would be slightly weighed in favour of security, because there's not been much in the mention of trade deals that much. There was the one recently, it was like formally done, that we'll only be paying 10% tariffs. Yay. Worth bootlicking Trump for? I don't think so. And don't give me any of that Brexit benefit rubbish either, because EU countries ended up with slightly higher tariffs. When you dance with the devil, you wait for the song to finish, you know what I mean? This isn't very good. But apart from that, I can't really see how Deal's gonna come into it, so it could be a pretty one-sided affair. I definitely want some action though, after last week's 0-0 draw, which was quite surprising. So take it away.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, can I welcome to the gallery the Speaker of Pakistan? And we now come to questions. Adrian Ramsey.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been asked to reply. My right honourable friend, the Prime Minister, has been attending the G7 summit in Canada. In an era of global instability, we are working with our partners to urge de-escalation in the Middle East, put pressure on Russia to agree to a ceasefire and deliver security renewal for the British people. Mr. Speaker, the Air India plane crash last week was devastating. Our thoughts and condolences are with everyone affected by this awful incident, and we're working closely with the Indian authorities to support those in need. And Mr. Speaker, 9 years ago we lost our
those in need. You should try living with deliverism. I'm not making light of the India plane crash, of course. Terrible tragedy.
And her legacy lives on. And I must also take this opportunity to also remember Sir David Amos, much missed by the whole of the House.
Joe Cox.
Mr. Speaker, this Sunday marks Windrush Day. We celebrate the extraordinary contribution the Windrush generation and their descendants to our country. And Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others, and in addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Adrian Ramsey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given the strong consensus across this House on the importance of de-escalation in the deeply worrying conflict between Israel and Iran, does the Deputy Prime Minister agree that the actions of this House must match its words? And will she therefore commit that before any further military support is given to the Israeli government, whether that's the potential deployment of the RAF jets or deployment of armed forces, that her government will first give MPs in this House a free vote?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the situation in the Middle East is fast-moving and deeply concerning. There is a clear potential for significant and rapid worsening of the situation, and every step that we take, we will always be guided by what the safety of British nationals and the UK national interest. That's why we've deployed jets to the region so that contingency support is in place for our armed forces personnel, and it's why we're asking British nationals to register their presence, and we'll keep all advice under review.
Olivia Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Too many of my constituents are stuck in unsuitable housing. And after 14 years of inaction from the party opposite, local families are being split up because there are not enough affordable homes. Can I welcome this government's plans to turbocharge the delivery of social and affordable housing, including through the new National Housing Bank, and ask my right honourable friend to confirm that this government will finally give my constituents the security that they deserve?
Oh, security.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, she's absolutely right to talk about the 14 years of failure by the Conservatives. Labour's turning the tide on the housing crisis, and I'm proud to announce today our commitment to establish a new publicly owned National Housing Bank backed by £16 billion of new finance. This includes £2.5 billion, Mr. Speaker, in low-interest loans for social housing to help achieve the biggest uplift to social and affordable housing in a generation.
Shadow Home Secretary Crystal.
She was lined up for security there, but...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I associate myself with the Deputy Prime Minister's remarks about the tragic air crash in India, and of course what she said about our dear colleagues Joe Cox and Sir David Amos. I also join her in calling for de-escalation between Israel and Iran, while noting everything possible must be done to stop Iran getting a nuclear weapon. Yesterday, the Leader of the Opposition and I met with survivors and family members of the rape gang scandal. Fiona, Teresa, Lucia and Marlon. They told us how authorities deliberately covered up the systematic rape of young girls and some boys by gangs of predominantly Pakistani heritage men.
I was pretty sure that this was going to come up, and it's ridiculous. There was a case this week here in Manchester. 10 white males were convicted of the offence, and they are in the vast majority of cases white British people. It's just pure race baiting. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be entertained by politicians. It definitely shouldn't be entertained by the mainstream media. because that just feeds the far right. I'm not saying that the issue itself is one that should be ignored, but the right will only talk about these specific cases, and you can see from Deputy whatever, who gives a fuck, he won't be there by the next election, that he's towing that line as well. Don't worry if you don't recognise any of the Tories anymore. None of us do. I don't make it a thing to try and remember the names. I'm pretty sure they won't be coming up, you know, in any major political discussions down the road. But yeah, just don't even entertain it. And he moved very quickly there in his opening bit to talk about the international situation, and then, oh, look at this. That's just like, I don't want to call it a non-issue, but it's the far right's version of what's going on, which is bullshit.
They covered it up because they cared more about so-called community relations than about protecting vulnerable girls. Yep. That is disgusting. The survivors told us they will only have confidence in an inquiry if it is independently led, has full statutory powers, covers all 50 towns affected, including Bradford. If those who covered this up are prosecuted, if foreign perpetrators are all deported, if survivors are closely involved, and if it is set up before the summer recess. Can the Deputy Prime Minister give the survivors and their families those assurances?
There'll be a bit of back and forth. I could see it coming. It's going to, you know, it's quite predictable. Yeah. I usually call them pretty well. So there'll be a bit of back and forth here between these two over this. I was just wondering there, which is why I've paused it, if it's going to come out with Chagos again, which has been, I don't know how many weeks in a row. But if that happens, I'm skipping forward because I'm just completely sick of that one as well. I'll let them have a bit of banter here, but obviously we have to play the game. The catchphrases come first.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, first of all, can I thank him for his tone and putting the survivors and victims at the heart of this question here today. I think it's absolutely right that we all look at what's happened over the last couple of decades, the countless reports that we've had, and we look to implement that. He's absolutely right to also talk about the confidence people must have in that independent inquiry. And the member that
on the issue, I will say, of course, the Tories have got no room to speak after 14 years of doing nothing.
So we
there
will
was
take that forward
an inquiry.
Mr. Speaker. It will be independent. It will have statutory powers, and we will implement the J report, which
essentially just doing what the likes of
known
Farage
about
and
as
Tice
the
want by
shadow minister in charge, the minister in charge at the
having a
time,
new one.
and we'll get on with taking the action. I hope members of his party will take his tone in making sure the whole House put the victims first and we all work together to get to the bottom of it.
Well, I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for her answer. It is vital that scandals like this are never again covered up because of the racial background of perpetrators. And Baroness Casey's report...
Because you don't want it to trigger off, you know, Stephen Yaxley-Lennon and his mob of knuckle draggers. And the incidents after Southport are still fresh in my mind, that's for sure. We don't want any kind of repeats of this, like, based on lies, and the whole argument on a macro scale is of course a lie. It is not disproportionately migrants or descendants of migrants, but they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about all the white people who are being arrested, convicted, and so on. No. Completely one-sided, which makes it racist, a racist agenda.
Said, people who downplay the ethnic dimension are letting victims down, to use her words. So I do have to raise the language the Prime Minister used in January, when he, I'm afraid to say, smeared campaigners as jumping on, quotes, a far-right bandwagon, simply for calling for the very inquiry he has now been forced to set up.
It is a bandwagon.
Standing up for rape
and you're
victims
nailed to it.
Is not far right. So will the Deputy Prime Minister apologise for what the Prime Minister said.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I say, Mr. Speaker, that the Prime Minister did not just raise issues but acted on them. He brought the firm prosecutions against grooming gangs, called for action to address ethnicity issues in 2012. And the honourable member will know that the data that the previous government collected was inaccurate and not complete. And Casey recognised this, and it's one of the recommendations that we will be taking forward. The Prime Minister made those comments specifically about Tory ministers who sat for years in the government and did absolutely nothing about this scandal. Well,
Smearing campaigners, standing up for rape victims as far right is completely unacceptable, and the Prime Minister should never have said that. And I commend his predecessor, the member for Richmond, for the grooming gangs task force he set up, which led to 550 arrests in its first year. Now, Baroness Casey's report also said that a significant number of rape gang perpetrators were non-UK nationals or were asylum seekers, many of whom entered the country illegally.
Well, normally it's Kemi Badenoch, but it'll be trying to make the same point and ask the same question in a slightly different fashion about 3 or 4 times in a row. He wants his soundbite, he wants his gotcha moment, and he'll fish for it as long as he can.
We know, of course, that most illegal immigrants crossing the Channel are young men, contrary to what the Chief Secretary said last week. So does the Deputy Prime Minister now accept that the small boats crisis is a crisis of public safety as well as a border crisis?
Deputy Prime Minister.
well, Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious issue and more needs to be done. Let me update the House. Working with our allies, we've carried out a series of major arrests to tackle smuggling gangs behind this vile trade. In the past month, a ringleader that smuggled almost 4,000 migrants has been jailed for 25 years. We could go further thanks to the law enforcement agreements we struck with Germany, Italy, Serbia and the Balkan states. In stark contrast to the honourable gentleman, he was the man at the heart of the Home Office when immigration soared. We lost control of our borders and spent £700 million of taxpayers' money on persuading just 4 volunteers to be removed from Rwanda. I take no lectures.
If she wants to find out who's lost control of our borders, I suggest she looks to her immediate right.
Well, I'm looking
because ever since the Home Secretary scrapped the Rwanda deterrent before it even started, illegal immigration across the Channel has gone up by over 30%. And so far this year, 2025, has been the worst year in history for illegal immigrants crossing the Channel. That is on her watch. That is down to her government. The Prime Minister is now planning crisis talks with President Macron, finally admitting, in his own words, that the...
Yvette Cooper being handed the menu from the local takeaway there. Someone's going to ring up and get an order in.
Situation is deteriorating. The government's laughable plan to smash the gangs lies in tatters. So will she now at last accept we need a removals deterrent so every single illegal immigrant arriving on these shores is immediately removed? Will she commit to that, yes or no?
Well, Mr. Speaker, if they want to argue that 40,000 arrivals since July 24 are down to the scrapping of the Rwanda scheme, they need to explain why there were more than 43,000 arrivals in the same period starting in July 22 when the Rwanda agreement was in place. Rubbish, Mr. Speaker. They lost control of our borders. We're getting control of our borders. He needs to apologise.
I don't see how she has the brass neck to claim she's got it under control. When the numbers crossing the Channel this year are the highest in history. She asks about the Rwanda deterrent. I'll repeat, she obviously wasn't listening to what I said earlier. The Rwanda scheme never started. And indeed, illegal immigrants in Calais said they were...
Order! Order!
Oh, off he goes.
Just do it. I want to hear the question, and I'm sure our constituents want to hear the question and the answer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Rwanda scheme never started. Illegal immigrants in Calais were saying before the election how much they wanted the Prime Minister to get elected because he would help them get here. When Australia started a similar scheme about 10 years ago, it worked within a few months. Now, Mr. Speaker, as a consequence of the government losing control, they are now accommodating growing numbers of illegal immigrants, many of whom cross the Channel, in asylum, hotels and flats. The Home Office's suppliers are now...
How many times are we going to hear this absolute drivel? This is pig swill. This is just, it's so puerile. It's just so, like, long debunked. And it's normally bad enough seeing Kemi Badenoch up there. But this is dreadful. Imagine this is an audition for someone playing a politician in our political era. You know, thanks a lot, we'll let you know, love. Dear me. It's just such bile. But, you know, his party at least is not something we need to be concerned about at the moment. It's another party which will come up in a poll, recent poll out today, that I'm going to reveal at the end of PMQs. So at least there is that. At least there does appear to be no current appeal for the Tories at the moment.
Are actively offering above-market deals to landlords to get hold of their properties to be used for illegal immigrants. In the meantime, hard-pressed young people here are unable to rent or buy. So why is this government prioritising housing for illegal immigrants above housing for our young people?
The party that hasn't even looked at its own resume.
So again, Mr. Speaker, I gently say to the right honourable member opposite that under their watch, immigration increased fourfold until it reached almost 1 million in a single year. They also created the backlog, 400 hotels, which we've reduced to just over 200 hotels in the first 12 months of us being in government, Mr. Speaker. £1 million a day spiffed up.
We've spent the last 6 days seeing missiles being exchanged between Iran and Israel. Over the last couple of days, there's been very strong suggestions the US are coming into this, and this is all that they want to talk about. This is all that they want to debate about, a non-issue, and repeating each other's lies. We did better on the non-issue than you. You were worse than us. I just can't stand it. I just really can't. As well as all the absolute multitude of other social domestic issues at the moment, which later on, no doubt, we'll see just get a very brief answer without any real concern, action or empathy from the current government. So I despair, I really do, at this lot. What a right rum bunch.
Well, because they were so incompetent. We're building the homes that they failed to deliver over 14 years of consecutive failure by their government. They should apologise while we get on with the job of rebuilding Britain.
Goodness me, she's got a cheek. Housing starts in Q4 last year went down. Her mission to rebuild Britain is not going very well. She talks about asylum hotels. She obviously hasn't looked at the most recent numbers. The number of people in asylum hotels was higher in March this year than it was at the time of the last election. And she gave no answer about the priority being given to illegal immigrants over people living here already. Now, Mr. Speaker,
When you go to a hotel, in a hotel room, it's okay somewhere to get your head down for a night or two, whatever. But imagine living there. No thanks. And I'm not just talking about the pitiful size of the kettles either. You know, it's not like they're being waited on in luxury by the imagery that's portrayed. Is just ridiculous. What you deny people a roof over the head and a safe place to sleep for the night with, you know, there might be a television. Oh goodness me, there might be a television in the room. Oh no, we can't have that. And all these ghouls want to do is figure out the most efficient way of sending them back to whatever god-awful thing it was that brought them on the journey in the first place, whether they're refugees of war or other forms of persecution, but they're certainly not the migrant tourists that they try to paint them as. And, you know, the thing about hotels as well, that's just something that always really gets me, because it's not like they're living in luxury, far from it.
Zimbabwean paedophile due for deportation was recently allowed to stay in the UK because a court found he might face, quote, some hostility back in Zimbabwe, apparently breaching his Article 3 rights. What about the rights of children here to be protected from this dangerous paedophile? Who's looking out for their rights? Not the government. There are thousands of cases like this involving foreign criminals. So there is a solution. We need to scrap the Human Rights Act for immigration matters so this sovereign parliament decides on the law.
All we have to do is very simply just not have any humanity left. This effort to try and drag us out of the ECHR is, again, just absolutely abominable. There's just no other way to describe it. And the attempt to manufacture consent, the finger pointing, the false blame that they're trying to lay on, always, of course, followed up by, oh, well, we're going to have to remove some of your civil rights as the remedy for this current ailment that we're in, or whatever the problem is that we claim is the problem for our society. It's always it's right out the book, this stuff. It really is right out of the right-wing playbook, and it reeks. It reeks.
Courts apply, but her party voted against that. So I have a simple question. Why did the government side with foreign criminals and not the British public?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, again, Mr. Speaker, they had 14 years of failure on these issues. We've also included 4,500 foreign national offenders that have been deported since we came into office, Mr. Speaker, more than they did in the same period. I take no lectures from the Johnny-come-lately who couldn't do anything when he was in office.
And Elise Midgley.
Mr. Speaker, last Saturday marked 8 years since Grenfell. 8 years fighting for justice. The Hillsborough families, including Margaret Aspinall from Huyton, have campaigned for 36 years for the Hillsborough law. Decades. So can the Deputy Prime
thanks, Hedy, for
Minister
that. Really do appreciate
today, will
the membership
Labour
there.
Government bring forward the Hillsborough law without delay? Will it honour the promises made to victims of state cover-ups? And will it finally deliver justice for the 97?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank my honourable friend for her question.
I'll just pause again one moment. But this is a very pertinent issue, particularly here in the Northwest, and I certainly want to share my solidarity with the families of those 97 victims from that awful incident. That was way back in the 1980s, off the top of my head. Can't remember which year it was in. But I've seen how the campaign has gone and how there were cover-ups and false blame. I think it's pretty appalling. Well, you'd have to say it'd be going on 40 years later that this still has to be raised in the House of Commons, and the people of Liverpool, I'm sure, are still traumatised by this and the fact that it has to be raised. And despite countless so-called investigations and whatnot, the real culprits have still never been brought to account.
The work with campaigners like Margaret in their fight for justice, and for mentioning Grenfell, which of course with the 8th anniversary was not so long ago. We remain fully committed to bringing in a Hillsborough law. The state has failed victims and their families too many times in the past, and that is precisely why our focus is now on getting the legislation right. I can assure her that measures will be brought forward as soon as we're confident that they will deliver, Mr. Speaker, the justice victims deserve, and we want to do this at pace.
She really put a lot of emphasis on that one, didn't she? She almost shouted deliver.
Lizzie Cooper, Deputy Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank
Thank you,
poor
Mr.
brain.
Speaker. On behalf of my party, may I associate myself with the Deputy Prime Minister's remarks about the Air India crash. And in a week when we remember the murder of Joe Cox and David Amos, our party's thoughts are with their friends and families and all those in this House who lost their beloved friends. We also remember those who died in Grenfell tragedy. Mr. Speaker, in 2003, we Liberal Democrats were incredibly proud to lead the campaign against the Iraq War, a war in which the UK blindly followed the US in a move which was not backed by the United Nations. In light of reports that President Trump is seriously considering joining the war between Israel and Iran, launching a US strike against Iran's nuclear facilities, can the Deputy Prime Minister confirm that if President Trump does do this, that today's Labour government will not blindly follow the US into war again?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, let's hope not.
Mr. Speaker, the one thing I will say is we agree with President Trump that Iran must never have nuclear weapons.
Oh, give over, Angela. Give up. No, no. On what grounds? Come on. Get real, Angela. On what grounds? And it's disappointing to see what Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner has become. A lot of people, especially around these parts and online, refer to her as a traitor to her class and so on and so forth. She's been a critic of war in the past. I know that she has. I don't live in her constituency, but let's just say it's not a million miles away from where I'm streaming from. There's no proof. There's no proof whatsoever. You can check out my recent video if you've not seen it about why that's a lie. Any kind of air quotes preemptive action is completely unsanctioned, unviable, illegitimate, and wrong. It's going to get us into a lot of problems. A lot of problems. All it takes is for the pieces to move 2 or 3 ways in the wrong direction, and then you'll have Russia and China all over it as well, which would in essence make this a global conflict if that gets met with military response. So you can't fool around with this. This is serious, and the Iraq invasion was brought up there, and how we blindly followed America into that. We can't do that again. Absolutely not. And we the people have to stand up to this as well.
But we've been consistent in urging Iran to engage in the diplomatic process and work with the United States, and we continue to support that diplomatic approach.
Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm grateful to the Deputy Prime Minister, and we support those efforts. Today, the government is set to unveil its plans to cut personal independence payments and carers allowance, a prospect which one of my constituents described as terrifying. Liberal Democrat analysis of the government's own data suggests that 1.3 million disabled people are at risk of losing some support. So can the Deputy Prime Minister...
1.3 million. 1.3 million. That's unbelievable.
honestly say, hand on heart, that this is the change that 1 million disabled people and their carers were promised?
Well, Mr. Speaker, Labour is the party of work and also the party of fairness and social justice. We've announced the plan to get Britain working again.
Yeah, and I'm the Pope. I'm not buying this. Who's buying this? Cooper and Reeves can nod along as much as they want. But I'm certain, social justice, whatever she said. They're not seeing their own policies. Oh.
And we're clear on the principles, Mr Speaker, and I want to be clear on that. Those who want to work should be able to work, and those who can never work should be protected. The current system we've inherited doesn't support those that need that support, and also doesn't allow and enable those to get opportunities for employment. I have personal experience of it. I know what the Honourable Lady is saying. I know how some people are fearful of the changes, but this Labour government put its values into place and will ensure that people are supported into it where they can, and where they can't, they are supported. We are the party of the welfare state, Mr Speaker. We set it up back after the Second World War, and we believe it should be there for people who need it, but we should also help people into work.
Sir, a champion.
I'm sure that Keir Hardie, founder of the Labour Party, would have something to say about the current stance on these issues, and it wouldn't be good. You know, dark eyes of Reeves there, almost like it's stirring into pure evil within the soul, in a way.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Mr Deputy Speaker, I welcome the... Yeah? Mr Speaker, there's too many deputies in the place today. I apologise. Mr Speaker, I welcome the government's announcement on grooming gangs. I'm sorry for stumbling. I've been floored by the point scoring that's going on around them. On all sides. I wonder if, if the Deputy Prime Minister is aware that the victims and survivors of grooming gangs are being denied compensation by the Criminal Injuries Agency on bizarre technicalities. They also deny all children of online abuse compensation. For me, this is a grave injustice, and they think they're better than the judge and jury. So I wonder what the Deputy Prime Minister plans to do, because personally I think they should be abolished.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, my honourable friend is a long-standing advocate for child protection, and I pay tribute to her campaigning on these issues. We share her determination to do what is right for the victims and the survivors, and we recognise that no sum of money can ever fully compensate for the horrors that they've experienced. And we are committed to funding efforts to tackle child sexual abuse in the future and support survivors to rebuilding their lives, and that's why we'll make it easier for victims to make personal injury claims through the civil courts by removing the 3-year time limit, and we're redoubling funding for therapeutic support services.
Solidari-Tea.
Mr Speaker, this week is Refugee Week, an opportunity for this House to show solidarity with those fleeing war, persecution and oppression. Compassion and welcome are core British values, but for decades the Home Office has been undermining those values, as my new report, No Way Home, shows, by treating migration as a crime rather than making it work for our communities and for newcomers. So will the Deputy Prime Minister read the report and consider its recommendation to remove migration from the responsibilities of the failing Home Office?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I'll commit to reading the Honourable Lady's report, because I think it's important we take all information on these issues. We inherited the asylum system under exceptional strain, which costs up to £9 million per day, and will end the use of hotels through suitable self-sufficient accommodation for asylum seekers, minimising the impact on local communities, and will protect and support asylum seekers when demonstrating value for the taxpayers.
Jodie Gosling.
Oh, so what? Oh, it's all friendly. And 1 minute it's nobody's doing more to stop these people, and they're this and they're that, and then it's like, oh no, we're very welcoming and accommodating, and support's going to be given, and it's just pure gaslighting crap. Really. So yeah, that was Carla Denyer, who's the outgoing co-leader of the Green Party. It looks very likely at the moment that Zach Balansky is going to be stepping into place of Carla and Adrian Ramsey, who's currently co-running with Ellie Chowns, but the gap seems to be widening in the polls, and I think people have until the end of next month if they want to join up. I'm not publicly, promoting anything, I'm just pointing it out. I can't join myself, but yeah, that'd be an interesting development for the Green Party. I'll go on to that a bit more when I bring that poll up at the end of PMQs. Still 0-0 on the scoreboard. I don't think, have we ever had 2 0-0s in a row? I'm not sure, but Security's had a lot of chances so far, but Rayner's not taking them. She's Raynering it in.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the 1st of July, Warwickshire County Council will permanently remove one of Nuneaton's 2 fire engines. Their decision is based on dubious data that does not accurately represent the current risk to residents, without accounting for local factors such as high deprivation. The cuts will put Nuneaton's lives in danger. Will the Deputy Prime Minister please look into this matter to confirm there has been sufficient scrutiny and a thorough risk analysis to ensure safety for the good residents of Nuneaton?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend for raising this important issue, and I know that the Fire Minister would be happy to discuss this further, and I'm committed to ensuring fire and rescue services across the country have the resources that they need to keep communities safe. The deployment of fire engines, though, is decided locally. So this really is a question for Warwickshire County Council, now led by Reform. So the member for Clacton should have a word with his county councillors in Nuneaton and get them to explain why Reform are cutting fire services.
People short.
Okay, if that is obviously the case, you're not going to expect anything from Reform Council, that's for sure. Where's the... Here we go. So, well, yeah, what was that he did there? It was it the Badum-tish gesture for the drums?
Decided locally. So this really is a question for Warwickshire County Council, now led by Reform. So the member for Clacton should have a word with his county councillors in Nuneaton and get them to explain why Reform are cutting fire services.
People short.
Oh no, it was like a tennis.
Mr. Speaker, can I remember when the Deputy...
Some sort of racket sport. Doesn't have to be tennis, you know, badminton, whatever. So, yeah, I guess it's on Reform's watch. Why have they cut the fire service? Is it part of their version of Doge cuts? Or is it just because it's woke for some other reason? It doesn't get the chance to answer that, actually, because it's PMQs. There you go. I don't know if he's had anything to say about that since the session earlier today.
The Prime Minister was a fierce critic of austerity and a proud champion for the disabled. But today, her government is introducing its £5 billion disability cuts bill, which will push another 250,000 people into poverty. Does she agree that everyone has the right to oppose such devastating cuts? So is it the Prime Minister's intention to remove the whip from any Labour MP who does the right thing and votes against these disability cuts?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I gently say to the honourable member that we've given, he talks about austerity, we've given the biggest amount of increase to Scotland. And I've covered this point in an earlier question, Mr. Speaker. We're absolutely committed to ending child poverty. We've already introduced free school meals. We're already supporting families. We've given a living wage.
You're taking 3 things away and putting 1 back. That's what's currently going on. If this was Starmer, he'd no doubt be going into his anti-SNP, anti-Scotland tirade at the moment. Is Rachel Reeves picking her nose?
Wage rise to over millions of workers that need it. We're getting on the job, Mr. Speaker, of rebuilding Britain. He's had decades of failure under Scotland. They deserve better.
Doesn't it?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Derbyshire's Derwent Valley is the home of the Industrial Revolution, and it is also now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That community showed a Victorian sense of purpose, which delivered improvements to people's everyday lives. So, can my right honourable friend set out how the government's £39 billion investment in housing will instil that same drive while maintaining the unique character of the East Midlands' only UNESCO World Heritage Site?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend for his question. I know he's a champion for regeneration across his constituency, and he's working hard to get homes built in his patch for his constituents. Our plan for change will deliver the biggest boost in investment in social and affordable housing in a generation. And for the first time in recent memory, Mr Speaker, we will give providers in his constituency a decade of certainty over the capital funding to build ambitious housing projects that honour Derbyshire's history.
King Timothy.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The Home Secretary says we should judge her success in smashing the gangs by whether the number of channel crossings falls. But under this government, the numbers are up by more than 30%. So by which date should we judge the Home Secretary? And if she fails, will she be fired?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, they continually vote against the measures that we're taking to smash the gangs. We're getting on with the job, Mr Speaker, working internationally to disrupt the abhorrent work of these smugglers and gangs, while he harps on from the sideline. He should apologise for their record in government, which was abysmal.
Mr Speaker, since becoming an MP, I've received thousands of pieces of casework from constituents who are stuck on social housing waiting lists. I've recently had an email from a woman with severe mobility issues, effectively trapped in her front room while she waits and waits for suitable social housing. Even when a home becomes available, she'll be forced to compete with other residents because there simply aren't enough affordable options. What will this new funding, the recent funding announced by the government, mean for my constituent and others like her who have already waited too long for a decent home?
It means you're the contender for Planted Question of the Week. Congratulations. And I'm sure that Angela Rayner has got a party political broadcast of an answer to give you.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I thank my honourable friend, Mr Speaker, for highlighting the case, because it's not an isolated case. We inherited a really dire situation, and there's far too many people that don't have a safe and secure home that meets their needs. My right honourable friend, the Chancellor's announced a record funding, almost double the level provided by the previous government, who ended up handing back the cash for social and affordable homes, and Labour's plan for change, renewing our country and investing in Britain's future.
Other House to Edward Lee.
When the government, quite rightly, gives full and unequivocal support to Israel in its bid to end the scourge of Iran's nuclear weapons programme forever, will the government...
Just got back from Mercury.
also work with our allies to try and convince the Israeli government that it's not in the long-term security interests of Israel to carry on with this policy of illegal settlements in the West Bank, which is simply leading to radicalisation and desperation throughout the region. Have not the overwhelming majority of Palestinian people have the right to yearn for peace and security in their own homeland, as the Jews yearn for their homeland for 2,000 years?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, thank
I'm aghast. I'm aghast. Well, first of all, I thought it was supposed to be 3,000 years. Second of all, it's bollocks either way. Did he say that? Let's just go through that. The last bit again. Oh, that was Zionist crap.
Ended up handing back the cash for social and affordable homes, and Labour's plan for change.
Interests of Israel to carry on with this policy of illegal settlements in the West Bank, which is simply leading to radicalisation and desperation throughout the region. Have not the overwhelming majority of Palestinian people have the right to yearn for peace and security in their own homeland, as the Jews yearn for their homeland for 2,000 years?
Well, apart from, the bit about homeland, yeah, obviously we support Palestine and the West Bank here on My Left Eye. Just that last bit at the end, can't say that I agree with that, because I know the difference between a religion and a state, and of course someone who practices Judaism and a Zionist. So what's Angela going to say about this? Sorry, I skipped it back there.
Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I thank the Father of the House for his important question. Settler violence and expansion in the West Bank is appalling and
do something
completely
about
unacceptable.
it,
Alongside our allies, we have
the
sanctioned
power.
individuals responsible for inciting this extremist action, but a two-state solution is the only way to bring peace that these...
Thank you. You heard it here first. We officially recognise the state of Palestine as obviously one of the two aforementioned states. Congratulations, that's fantastic. We're on board with Spain and obviously most of the BRICS countries now, of course, have recognised Palestine as a state. The list grows bigger and bigger as support for Israel shrinks and wanes even further. So let's put pen to paper, Angela, and really get that formalised and ratified. I'm happy to draw up documents myself if you'd like to present that to Antonio Guterres of the United Nations, for example. Let's really throttle down on this, mother, and deliver that declaration.
Israelis and the Palestinians deserve, and this is only achievable if the hostages are released, aid surged into Gaza and the ceasefire is restored, and we'll do everything we can to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In Scotland, over 10,000 children are stuck in temporary accommodation, including many in my constituency of Stirling and Strathallan. Too many families facing soaring rents, long waiting lists and dwindling options. It's just one of so many policy failings that we're all losing count and losing patience as public confidence in the SNP ability to govern collapses. What advice would she have for the Scottish SNP government as they continue to preside over a chronic failure to invest in the social and affordable housing Scotland so desperately needs?
Well, my honourable friend is right, Mr Speaker. Homeless levels are far too high, which has a devastating impact.
I've also noticed of late that there's such a low regard for Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House. Starmer does this a lot as well, and Angela Rayner just did it. They're up and reading and speaking as they read before what is formally supposed to happen happens, and that is the Speaker saying whose turn it is to speak. It's part of his role. So she'll be halfway through a sentence, so you just hear him go in the background. Deputy Prime Minister. Deputy Prime Minister. If he can get those two words out. Because he, for a guy whose job it is to speak, sounds like he's chewing on a wet sponge when he does so.
On those affected. Under the SNP, 10,000 children in Scotland shamefully have no fixed home to call their own, a record high. Our decisions have given Scotland a record settlement and the largest since devolution. We saw in Hamilton, Mr Speaker, how Scots are fed up with the SNP's excuses. They've been in power for nearly 2 decades and have nowhere left to hide from their failure.
Yeah.
And Davies.
Mr Tavares.
She opened the
Welsh
taps there, didn't
farmers
she?
are taking hit after hit, from Tory trade deals to Labour taxes. And now on top of that, blue tongue restrictions affecting Wales and England will hamper cross-border trade. Over 550 farms on the border and key livestock markets rely on summer trading. Once in a year, opportunities like the Royal Welsh Show are crucial, and the disruption will be devastating. So will the Deputy Prime Minister commit to working with Welsh Government on a scheme to compensate for the losses?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, I gently say to the honourable member, you don't deliver for Wales by voting against an extra £1.6 billion for public services like I did at the Senate. We will be making sure that we support Wales and support Welsh farmers, and we'll continue to do that as a UK government.
Andrew Pett.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. In the spending review last week, the government backed Peterborough with support for our new pool and sports quarter in the city. This commitment has the power to turn years of campaigning into a reality. But that's not all. The government has also recently approved the business case for our new station and given us new police. So can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister, does she agree that this is just the start, and that places like Peterborough that were forgotten for too long by the party opposite are now top of this Labour government's agenda?
God, aren't we brilliant? Oh God, aren't we? Do you agree? Do you agree with that? We're great. Sports, the sports for the... It's great.
Well, I thank my honourable friend for his comments and flagged by the two ladies that have made sure that those things happen. The Chancellor's guaranteed...
It's like a scene from frigging Macbeth or something. It was
funding to accelerate projects like Peterborough's new sports
The
quarter,
Scottish play.
including, Mr Speaker, a new Olympic-sized swimming pool. And I can also confirm today that, subject to the business case approval, we will provide nearly £48 million of funding for a new city centre quarter and a refurbished Eastern Station building.
Paul Holmes.
Recently, a small family business in my constituency was burgled by a prolific offender who was serving an 8-month suspended sentence. The man was caught, arrested, charged and appeared at court, where he was given another 8-month suspended sentence and released. The business was offered £200 in compensation. Does the Deputy Prime Minister think that's justice served, or is this government now soft on crime and soft on the causes of crime?
Is that an issue for the appeals courts? Obviously, the executive and the judiciary are supposed to be separate. It's obviously right to raise cases. That does seem like a bit of a £200 and 2 suspended sentences. Obviously, you don't know the full details of the case, but let's just see what she says.
Well, first of all, Mr Speaker, I'm really sorry to hear about that. Hard-working business people that spend a lot of their time building up a business should expect the full force of the law to protect their property and protect their interests. And can I also, while I've got the opportunity, congratulate the honourable member for running Hamble Valley's very first pub competition this year. I hope I'm going to get an invite. But he's absolutely right, Mr Speaker, to say that we've got to have increased police numbers and making sure they're responsive to people's concerns. We're doing that. His government let them down.
Joe Powell.
Mr Speaker, Saturday marked 8 years since 72 people lost their lives in the Grenfell Tower fire. 8 years without justice, but finally the prospect of some systemic change following the public inquiry. So I welcome the government's commitment to barring all the cited companies from accessing public contracts and its full support to the police investigation to deliver real accountability. Can the Deputy Prime Minister also reassure our community that alongside the Hillsborough law, the government will consider some independent oversight so that victims from the post office to Hillsborough to Grenfell know inquiry recommendations will actually lead to real change?
Deputy Prime Minister.
I thank my honourable friend. The Grenfell fire was a national tragedy, and we must never forget the 72 lives that were lost, and it was an honour to pay my respects at the 8th anniversary at the weekend. We do remain fully committed to introducing the Hillsborough law, including a legal duty of candour for public services and criminal sanctions for those who refuse to comply. I know my honourable friend speaks with passion and authority on this as I speak to the Grenfell community. I know this is something that they really want to see happen as quickly as possible, and we're exploring reforms to inquiries to get to the truth more quickly and deliver the meaningful change that these victims deserve.
They do deserve justice, absolutely. That was appalling. What happened? Can't say repeat of that again. Has Jonathan Reynolds fallen asleep there? His hands are clasped together. Something's going on there.
I know this is something that they really want to see happen as
Bromley pupils for nearly 75 years. But it will close its doors in July due to Labour's decision to impose VAT on independent schools. Given the Deputy Prime Minister's well-publicised views on independent schools, does she welcome this closure, or would she like to apologise to the parents, pupils and staff?
Deputy Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I've said for a long time that the taxpayers of this country shouldn't be subsidising tax breaks for private schools. I welcome all schools that give children a great education, but I'm also determined to ensure we've got qualified teachers in every classroom for every child, something their government failed to do.
Alan Johnson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As a trained physics teacher and a former engineering lecturer, can I ask the Deputy Prime Minister what this government is doing to help people improve their maths skills after they have left school? I came across an awful case the other day. A 61-year-old man who believed he'd counted up 7 billion of government spending when there was really only 27 million. What can we do for people like the leader of Reform UK, who evidently can't add up?
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend highlights an important fact. Reform sums simply don't add up. He'll be pleased to know that we're investing £136 million for skills boot camps, and I will be sure to send the details to the honourable member for Clapton.
That completes Deputy Prime Minister's questions. We'll let the front bench change over.
Well, I can't believe it. Another impasse, 0-0. Another scoreless draw. Can't believe it. That concludes the session and PMQs, and of course another round of Keith's catchphrases. There is no victor to congratulate. So that was Deputy PMQs. No, there's we're not going to penalties or extra time, added time. Right, there's no injury time. We do the odd VAR. If we're not certain if we've heard one of the phrases or not. Well, wow, apparently we're on 702 views on the stream. That's amazing. I hope not Mr. Raid, but thank you. If there was a raid, I'm just checking here. That's great. However, we've got that boost on the numbers tonight. Thank you very much. I don't know. Could be the as yet unseen Nemesis channel seeking to mock us. I don't know. We don't entertain trolls anyway, but I'll hope it's for positive reasons. Nil-nil flow, you know, just like the sports ball. No, that's a rarity. Certainly for quite a few teams over here. Anyway, let me know your thoughts about that session in the chats or in the comments if you're watching back later. Make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream as well. Do give us a share on social media. Which could be the reason we've had that boost tonight, I'm not sure. But keep sharing, people. And we'll be moving on. Let's see how the current mood is from the public. In just a moment with the latest poll. I'll be back with that in just a moment, people. Just need to refresh my glass and stuff after the long arduous session. Just a couple of moments, people. Okay, people, I'm back. Let's see what he's saying in the chat. Jacqueline, anyone hear about Michael Walker from Novara Media accidentally referring to Vicky Clee as a bot? Really? Oh, Vicky Clee's channel member here on my left eye, I believe. That was, like, how did that come up? Vicky Clee's also a mod on is either Kev and or No Justice. That's a strange one. Are you watching right now? Vicky, please do share the details. Jim Wright. Good question though. We're not sure of the actual amounts. We know that you can research into some of it, and it goes right up into the hundreds of thousands that we know of. With, you know, that we know of having a heavy bold underscore underneath it, of course. Oh, we've got a... It's very rare that I have to do this. I'm gonna... Well, I'll be... Let's be democratic here. I'm gonna put someone in timeout first. So that's a yellow card. There. Yeah, Flo. I'm just dealing with that there. Should okay. I think any of the other potential ones have gone, so we'll see what happens after that timeout expires. Thanks though, Flo. Graham, so Michael Walker got it mixed up with mod, yeah, of course. Vicky Clear's a mod. Just a slip of the tongue. But no, I didn't see that. Now have a look at this. It's the latest poll. It's, well, still gonna have to adjust that because YouGov poll it is this time. Again, it looks like most people going for reform, although that would, I think, work out as a hung parliament. So 27% Reform, 24 Labour, Tories on 17, obviously completely reduced, just 2 above Lib Dem actually. Hopefully the Greens can get a bit of a boost under what seems to be almost certain to be the next leader, Zach Polanski. So I wish them all the best as well. So that one doesn't look great. Yeah, but 4 years to go, as you pointed out, third doc. No, Floor State. Let's not go starting any any rumours now. He said what? Maybe that's what's happened, and maybe that's why we've got all these viewers. I don't know. Only 4 long years. I'm just coming out of the streaming software to have a very quick look at the latest on Iran and Israel. Day 6. I'll bring that up, we'll just go through the latest. Here's the way I think it looks at the moment, and it's not a pretty big if, but it is an if. Like I said, only a couple of moves in the wrong direction, and next thing you know, everybody's in on it. If America do get into this, which, you know, bar the shouting, they already are, but exponentially, if they get into this even further, then yeah, you're likely to see Russia and China make some sort of response as well. I mentioned a little time ago as well that Pakistan, who are a nuclear armed state, should also add, have said that they would counteract any nuclear attack by the United States. Let's just go over to the screen and have a quick scan through the latest. Just need to reduce that. Apologies. So yeah, on that matter, formally, Iran haven't asked for Russia's help, but Russia are looking at the actions of America. What they have said on that matter, that they obviously wouldn't tolerate it. Israelis inside Iran have been arrested in groups. Let's just take a quick look through this. Police Commander Ahmad Reza says that the police have made heavy blows to an Israeli spying network inside the country. The semi-official Mehr news agency reports. Semi-official? Okay. One person affiliated with Mossad, that's Israel's intelligence agency, has been arrested in Iran's western Kurdistan province. Iran has had major escalation in arrests linked to Israel in recent days. An unspecified number of people have been detained on related charges. And on Monday, a man accused of spying for Mossad was executed. Before I came to you on the stream, there was news going around that the internet was down in Iran. Also that maybe in a response to that media hack that Israel received recently. They seem to have hacked part of the news network, the Iranian news network, and are broadcasting some sort of propaganda encouragement video trying to get the population to rise up. I'm not sure how effective that might be. You might think it's going to be another Syria, but that's not the case, you know. So I do know that both countries have been on alert again today, but I haven't seen any reports of any strikes. So there you go, that's just a bit about the media hacking. Yeah, it says take control, the video said take control of your future. The source of the clip and the alleged hack are currently unknown. Well, I'll give you a clue, it might start with an I, and it isn't Iran. And the UN are going to hold another emergency session on Friday. That was the video I played at the start of the stream with Rick's latest TV destruction. And he almost seems to, you know, take pleasure in joking about it and how people are waiting for his decision on what to do about this after those very direct threats that he made, of course, recently. He thinks it's all a joke. Oh, will I or won't I? And oh, I'm going to leave you guessing because I'm actually clown shoes, but I want people to think that I'm somehow deep and enigmatic and hard to figure out. No, just an absolute clown at the end of the day. No crowns for clowns. That's for sure. So I'll still try and keep up with that, but I'll move on to other matters now. Specifically, Gaza. There's been a few things in the news surrounding that recently. What should we go to first? Yeah, check this clip out. Hope you'll enjoy this one. I'm not sure about the motivation for doing this on a plane, but it was a great testimony and support for Gaza. I don't know if you've seen this one, but let's check it out. I think it's an American lady, really going for it as well.
Our money is contributing to this genocide. I refuse to believe that you don't think that you have no power in stopping this genocide. You can boycott, you can stop eating at McDonald's, you can lobby your MPs. You can stop spending your money with genocidal companies. Israel is single-handedly starting World War III as we speak. They are a terrorist state. Egypt has... Every single one of us can do more. Every single one of us can do more. I don't care if I get banned for life. I will not say yes to genocide. No, you're a human being. You are a human being. I am begging you. Stop this genocide right now. I am begging you. Please. Don't let my efforts and
Will all passengers please be seated and stay quiet? Thank you very much. Will all passengers at the back please be seated?
Yes.
Stay quiet, thank you.
Please, when we get to London, let's escalate. Speak to your MPs. Boycott all these companies, Starbucks, McDonald's, KFC. Speak to companies such as the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, Friends of Alaska. They're based in the UK and they organize actions such as youth demand. You can do more, we can do more, we matter. If you say no, there's no genocide possible. Let's not let Israel and the Zionists dictate what this world is going to look like tomorrow. Let's stop repeating history over and over and over and over again.
Preach. Very well said. I can't credit the original uploader from this. I'm not sure who they were. I'm not sure of the name of the lady who gave that amazing testimony there, but I'm sure you'll all agree it was fantastic. Free. And there's more. Thanks for throwing up the watermelons and Palestine flags in the chat as well. So more Chara from Kneecap was on trial today, and there was an amazing amount of court support from outside. Hundreds of people, actually. So I'm gonna take a look at a little clip of the support. I think this was from before the trial actually took place. That was a hell of a wail there, did you hear that? That was brilliant. Just skip that back. That was a heck of a wail. That's some straight up Comanche shit right there, people. Yes. Oh, I know who that was. I think I know who that actually was. No way. No way. Yeah, I know who that was. I won't say the name. Let me hear it again. I'm not kidding you, people. It's not a joke. Yeah, outside the Magistrates Court in London. Yeah, it makes 100% sense, yeah. Sounds exactly like them. I've literally been stood next to this person on marches while they made that noise, so... Yeah, small world. I only picked out... I didn't notice that the first time. I played the clip. That's mental. And obviously I know that the person I'm referring to does support Palestine. Yeah, well done. So, the verdict's for more Chara was a suspended sentence, but he should obviously never have been on trial in the first place. just been deliberately targeted. And it obviously goes against artistic expression, rights and other things, as well as being, you know, obviously spot on message about the plight of Gazans. So brilliant turnout, you got to say. Well done. So I'm going to send a copy of that clip. Yeah. Just to confirm that the magnificent Yelp was who I thought it was. I'll see if they want to come on a stream or something, actually, if you want. So that's, you know, get a guest. I could do that. I could probably work that. And this is still on the same issue, but it ties into the Palestine issue very directly, of course. But it is a comedy clip. Someone who's not been on My Left Eye for a while, but I've played his stuff before. Fabulous Irish comedian, Tad Hickey. So let's check his latest out. It's very good. He does very good stuff.
Wow! Just reading about that Riverway Law case in Britain, you know, the one that's legally...
And it's all about the H word, the word that you're not allowed to say. Do you condone the H word?
Challenging the terrorist prescription of... Oh my God, don't say it! Don't say what?
Don't say their name.
Yeah, I think that's the whole point of the case, actually. I mean, how could you possibly solve the conflict if simply talking about one of the parties could land you in prison?
They're evil, though. October 7th?
Even if that were true, Hitler was evil, wasn't he?
Yes.
We could launch a roadshow about Hitler in the morning and nobody would bat an eyelid. I mean, there's about 6 or 7 documentaries a day on TV about the bloody bugger. It can't be the evil part that precludes any public discourse about...
Careful! But they killed civilians. That's terrorism.
Israel has killed bare minimum about 50,000 civilians, mostly women and children.
Yeah, I know, but they said they didn't mean it.
Have you ever accidentally killed 50,000 people?
But they're a democratic, civilized country.
Like, say, Britain? Sure, Britain never killed any civilians. Sure they didn't?
Look, I actually support Palestine, like. I just don't like violence.
Yeah, nobody likes violence, buddy, except maybe psychopaths. Violence was visited upon Palestine for a century, and international law recognises their right to resist that violence. Why should the British state deny them their rights?
I just want peace, okay?
We all do. But would there have been peace here in Ireland if the British didn't start engaging with Sinn Féin?
You know what, you're right.
Very good.
Go on.
Yeah.
No, I just can't do it.
Oh, you were so close. Why not?
Because if I do, YouTube, Meta, and the other tech paragons of virtue and free speech will delete the sketch, punish me for endorsing terrorism, and nobody will get to engage in the very important arguments against criminalising opposition to a lawless genocidal regime.
Yeah. No comments. Bit rebellious playing that, even though I've already got the last 2 under review. But that's beside. I don't know. Brilliant stuff, and yes, you spelt it right there. Floor Snake. Tad Hickey. Do go and check his stuff out as well. yeah, there is something bizarre going on about this spike in views, which I normally welcome, but because there's not been a raid, I don't know what's going on. It's dragged the average view duration down as well, which I don't know. Yeah, it's usually higher than it currently is. Anyway. Okay, Jacqueline, I'm going to type that in the chat for you. Just because it's a very specific spelling, shall we say? Just one sec. Okay, I think that's how you spell it. It's Hickey with an E as well as the Irish spelling. Okay, people, time to remind you that musical elements of the show is still out there, and we're still looking for your suggestions on songs and artists. It's the Brews at 10, the album.
Do you like a hot tasty beverage with your music? Then my left eye has got a treat for your ears. The Brews at 10, the album. All your favourite beverage-based hits from the 1960s to now, all in one place.
Volume 11 is now available, featuring Tequila Sunrise, The Teagles, T and Mrs. Jones, Billy Paul, especially for Brew, Kylie and Jason, Brew Make Me Feel Like Dancing, Leo Sayer, Brew, Radiohead, plus many more. Order now.
Alright, people, yeah, that is not actually available anywhere, of course, in case you needed reminding. Time to give another shout out to the members on the channel, of course. You'll get multiple mentions on live streams if you want to consider joining the people on the list with a membership. Just hit the join button, check out the perks. So currently on the dreaded number out of 100. Eek. Thanks to those of you who've joined on tonight's stream. That's been fantastic. Or joined and or renewed. So I'll be bringing the stream to a close in a few moments, people. Hang around though. I'm looking for a raid as we speak. Let's bring the chat back up first. go scanning. I've got this space. Okay, so we're going to this space. Not this space, another space which is called this space. So I hope everybody's very clear on that. I'll come over and join you there for a little while. Can't stay up too late this evening, but make sure that you give us a shout out and hit the thumbs up button when we get over to that stream, as well as making sure that you've hit thumbs up on this stream before we leave. And also, before we leave, very big thank you to Graham there for the super chat. Solidari-Tea. Let's give that some appreciation, people. Awesome stuff. You're very welcome for the stream, as always. Thanks for joining me. So that will be it from me this very warm evening, people. I'll be back with you later in the week, and I'll be joining you over on the stream on this space. But take care, everyone. I'll be seeing you soon. Power to the people. Free Palestine.